I may be able to provide you with the book or provide you with a copy of the book or tell you where you can get a free copy yourself. Of course, if you want to read the chapter in advance, that'll be perfectly fine. Otherwise, you can come here and we will have somebody read, because I see down there that Travel Bay actually says that she can't read. But we do want everybody to feel, included and a part of the team. So for the people like Travel Bay who can't read, we'll have someone like Jilly come in and read the chapter, and then we'll just discuss it. We'll have a couple of people jump into the box. We'll just kind of have like a panel discussion, and of course, the audience is welcome to answer any questions that are presented at the end of reading the chapter. Okay, so not this. So again, the first book that we're going to read for this month is, well, this is the only book that we're going to read this month. Actually, I don't like Travel can't read, so I don't want to like put too much on you guys. We're going to read one book this month. And again, it's going to be this book. Again, it's called The Four Agreements. It was written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And we're going to have, if you missed what I just said, if we're we're going to have Jilly come up and read it, and then we're also going to have Cajun and Charisma hop in the box to actually be a part of our panel discussion. Okay. So let me see here. So Jilly's going to read the second chapter because that is actually the first agreement. I just kind of made the executive decision that we did as a group didn't really need to read the first chapter. Of course, if you want to go back and read the chapter on your own, you're more than welcome to. So the first chapter, it kind of just gives you a breakdown on the history of the group of people that so it was a group of people called the Tautak, and they had like this special way of thinking and ways that they try to like think about things and open up their minds. Hi, T Dog. To open up their minds to think differently, to process things differently, just kind of to be more free in their way of thinking. And that's all the first chapter does, just gives you a little bit of insight on that group of people and a little bit of background. It is a really good chapter to read if you'd like a little bit of background on the subject, but I didn't really feel it was necessary for us to read it together. So we are going to skip the first chapter, go to the second chapter, that is the first agreement. And if you guessed it, there's four different agreements for each chapter. It's a very easy read. So I know that we have a lot of people that can't read, like Travel Bay. I think Cajun says she couldn't read any either. It's rough. It's rough, very rough. But this would be very simple for you guys. They're very small chapters. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Cajun can read. It's just Travel. So sorry. So sorry. All right, but that's fine. So, can I have Jilly request the box? We're just gonna give Jilly a moment to introduce herself, and we will go from there.
Hello.
Fight for it, Jilly.
Sorry, I just came up. Hello, everybody. Hello, Wettington. I am Jilly Baby. It's Jilly Baby. I'm sorry, I did change my name for the box. No recordings in my ears, but I have been on this app for, gosh, I feel old now. 2 years. Ooh, my 2 years is coming up, Wettington.
Ooh.
And I have a show on Tuesdays called Entanglements. That's my featured show. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a bunch of other stuff as well, but it's not about me today. I'm here to be your Audible book reader for folks like Travel.
Yes. Is there anybody else here who can't read, or is it just Travel? Oh, well, that's embarrassing. It's looking like it's just Travel. Well, don't worry, Travel. We have Jilly here just for you. Okay. So I don't want to waste any time because it's gonna take about 20 minutes to read this chapter. So I want to give us the opportunity to finish the chapter. So again, if you're just joining us, the book that we're reading is called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Jilly is gonna read us this second chapter, so just sit back and relax. You can get the book for next week. Okay. All right, Julie. So whenever you are ready.
Okay. And if I'm reading too fast or whatever, just tell me. All right. So, chapter 2, the first agreement: be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is the most important one and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word is God." Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the Word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the Word. The Word is not just a sound. Do you want me to stop?
Yeah. Okay. Also, I'm sorry, guys. There is something that I wanted to tell you that I probably should have told you before she started reading, but don't worry, it's fine. So I need you guys to be a little bit open minded as you listen to her read because, um,
Slow down.
and um, I think it may I do not believe the author's first language was English. Okay. So I think that some of the ways that he uses certain words may kind of throw you for a loop, but just trust me, trust the process, hear it through, and it will make sense to you. Okay. So sometimes he may say certain things that give you pause and you're kind of like, wait, what? But if you just hold on and let us get through the concept or the idea, it'll make a little bit more sense to you. So I encourage you to just kind of be a little bit open and a little bit liberal with your thoughts as we listen. Just because I know some of the words, they will give you pause and you kind of like, what? But bear with us, okay? Go ahead, Julie. I'm sorry.
Okay. Last sentence. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the Word. The Word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The Word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak. What other animal on the planet can speak? The Word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with two edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth. Depending on how it is used, the word can set you free or it can enslave you even more than you know. All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and misuse of your word is black magic. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, by the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word. And like a big explosion, there was a killing and war all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. The human mind is like a fertile ground where seeds are continually being planted. The seeds are opinions, ideas, and concepts. You plant a seed, a thought, and it grows. The word is like a seed, and the human mind is so fertile. The only problem is that too often it is fertile for the seeds of fear. Every human mind is fertile, but only for those kinds of seeds it is prepared for. What is important is to see which kind of seeds our mind is fertile for and to prepare it to receive seeds of love. Take the example of Hitler. He sent out all those seeds of fear, and they grew very strong and beautifully achieved massive destruction. Seeing the awesome power of the word, we must understand what power comes out of our mouths. One fear or doubt planted in our mind can create an endless drama of events. One word is like a spell, and humans use the word like black magicians, thoughtlessly putting spells on each other. Every human is a magician, and we can either put a spell on someone with our word or we can release someone from a spell. We cast spells all the time with our opinions. An example, I see a friend and I give him an opinion that just popped into my mind. I say, I see that kind of color in your face in people who are going to get cancer. If he listens to the word and if he agrees, he will have cancer in less than 1 year. That is the power of the word. During our domestication, our parents and siblings gave their opinions about us without even thinking. We believed these opinions and we lived in fear over these opinions, like not being good at swimming or sports or writing. Someone gives an opinion and says, "Look at this girl is ugly." The girl listens, believes she is ugly, and grows up with the idea that she is ugly. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is. As long as she has that agreement, she will believe that she is ugly. That is the spell she is under. By hooking our attention, the word can enter our mind and change a whole belief for better or for worse. Another example, you may believe you are stupid, and you may have believed this for as long as you can remember. This agreement can be very tricky, causing you to do a lot of things just to ensure that you are stupid. You may do something and think to yourself, "I wish I were smart, but I must be stupid or I wouldn't have done that." The mind goes in hundreds of different directions, and we could spend days getting hooked by just that one belief in our own stupidity. Then one day, someone hooks your attention, and using the word lets you know that you are not stupid. You believe what the person says and make a new agreement. As a result, you no longer feel or act stupid. A whole spell is broken just by the power of the word. Conversely, if you believe you are stupid and someone hooks your attention and says, "Yes, you are really the most stupid person I have ever met," the agreement will be reinforced and become even stronger. Now let us see what the word impeccability means. Impeccability means without sin. Impeccable comes from the Latin peccatus, which means sin. The im in impeccable means without. So impeccable means without sin. Religion talks about sin and sinners, but let's understand what it really means to sin. A sin is anything that you do which goes against yourself. Everything you feel or believe or say that goes against yourself is a sin. You go against yourself when you judge or blame yourself for anything. Being without sin is exactly the opposite. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility for your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. From this point of view, let me stop.
I just I just wanted to welcome anybody that just joined. So I want to welcome you to a novel idea with Wettington. I'm your host, Wettington. We are currently reading the second chapter in the book, The Four Agreements, written by Don Miguel Ruiz. Again, Jilly is reading the chapter for us. So if you have not already read the book or haven't read it ahead of time, don't worry. Jilly is gonna just be walking us through the first chapter, and then we're gonna talk about it a little bit. So just sit back and relax to the soothing sounds of Jilly. Take it away, Jilly.
From this point of view, the whole concept of sin changes from something moral or religious to something common sense. Sin begins with rejection of yourself. Self rejection is the biggest sin that you commit. In religious terms, self rejection is a mortal sin which leads to death. Impeccability, on the other hand, leads to life. Being impeccable with your word is not using the word against yourself. If I see you in the street and I call you stupid, it appears that I'm using the word against you, but really I'm using my word against myself because you're going to hate me for this. And your hating me is not good for me. Therefore, if I get angry and with my word send all that emotional poison to you, I'm using the word against myself. If I love myself, I will express that love in my interactions with you. And then I am being impeccable with the word because that action will produce a like reaction. If I love you, then you will love me. If I insult you, you will insult me. If I have gratitude for you, you will have gratitude for me. If I'm selfish with you, you will be selfish with me. If I use the word to put a spell on you, you are going to put a spell on me. Being impeccable with your word is the correct use of your energy. It means to use your energy in the direction of truth and love for yourself. If you make an agreement with yourself to be impeccable with your word, just with that intention, the truth will manifest through you and clean all the emotional poison that exists within you. But making this agreement is difficult because we have to learn to do precisely the opposite. We have learned to lie as a habit of our communication with others, and more importantly, with ourselves. We are not impeccable with the word. The power of the word is completely misused in hell. We use the word to curse, to blame, to find guilt, to destroy. Of course, we also use it in the right way, but not too often. Mostly, we use the word to spread our personal poison, to express anger, jealousy, envy, and hate. The word is pure magic, the most powerful gift we have as humans, and we use it against ourselves. We plan revenge, we create chaos with the word, we use the word to create hate between different races, between different people, between families, between nations. We misuse the word so often, and this misuse is how we create and perpetuate the dream of hell. Misuse of the word is how we pull each other down and keep each other in a state of fear and doubt. Because the word is the magic that humans possess and misuse of the word is black magic, we are using black magic all the time without knowing that our word is magic at all. There is a woman, for example, who was intelligent and had a very good heart. She had a daughter whom she adored and loved very much. One night, she came home from a very bad day at work, tired, full of emotional tension, and with a terrible headache. She wanted peace and quiet, but her daughter was singing and jumping happily. The daughter was unaware of how her mother was feeling. She was in her own world, in her own dream. She felt so wonderful, and she was jumping and singing louder and louder, expressing her joy and her love. She was singing so loud that it made her mother's headache even worse. And at a certain moment, the mother lost control. Angrily, she looked at her beautiful little girl and said, "Shut up. You have an ugly voice. Can you just shut up?" The truth is that the mother's tolerance for any noise was non existent. It was not that the little girl's voice was ugly, but the daughter believed what her mother said. And in that moment, she made an agreement with herself. After that, she no longer sang because she believed her voice was ugly and would bother anyone who heard it. She became shy at school, and if she was asked to sing, she refused. Even speaking to others became difficult for her. Everything changed in the little girl because of this new agreement. She believed she must repress her emotions in order to be accepted and loved. Whenever we hear an opinion and believe it, we make an agreement, and it becomes part of our belief system. This little girl grew up, and even though she had a beautiful voice, she never sang again. She developed a whole complex from one spell. This spell was cast upon her by the one who loved her the most, her own mother. Her mother didn't notice what she did with her word. She didn't notice that she used black magic and put a spell on her daughter. She didn't know the power of her word, and therefore she isn't to blame. She did what her own mother, father, and others had done to her in many ways. They misused the word. How many times do we do this with our own children? We give them these types of opinions, and our children carry that black magic for years and years. People who love us do black magic on us, but they don't know what they do. They don't know what they do. That is why we must forgive them. They don't know what they do. Another example, you awake in the morning feeling very happy. You feel so wonderful. You stay 1 or 2 hours in front of the mirror, making yourself beautiful. Well, one of your best friends says, "What has happened to you? You look so ugly. Look at the dress you're wearing. You look ridiculous."
What kind of friend is this?
That's it. That is enough to put you all the way down in hell. Maybe this girlfriend just told you this to hurt you. And she did. She gave you an opinion with all the power of her word behind it. If you accept the opinion, it becomes an agreement now, and you put all your power into that opinion. That opinion becomes black magic. These types of spells are difficult to break. The only thing that can break a spell is to make a new agreement based on truth. Based on truth. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. On one side of the sword are the lies, which create black magic. On the other side of the sword is the truth, which has the power to break the spell of all black magic. Only the truth will set us free.
So, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Julie. So, again, um, please be a little bit liberal and open with your thoughts while listening, because I'm sure even the first time that I read this book, just the term black magic, it kind of throws you off. But again, with a few things that I think he says throughout this book that kind of throw you for a loop, if you just give it a chance, listen to what he's trying to say, you'll get the concept that he's trying to instill into you. So don't be put too far off by some of the terms. Just like I said before, just stick beside us. We're going to get there, okay? Just stick beside us. Again, welcome to A Novel Idea with Wettington. I am your host, Wettington. We are reading the second chapter from the Four Agreements written by Don Miguel Ruiz. We do have Jilly here to provide the reading of this chapter, because we do have some members of the book club that cannot read, like Travel Bay. Not to continuously single her out, but it's very shocking that she can't read. So if you are in the same boat as Travel Bay, don't worry. We will have someone read the chapter for us before we discuss it each week. And I will toss it back to Jilly to finish reading.
Okay. Looking at every human sorry, my, my whole iPad just went, bloop. All right.
It's okay.
Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it is pure poison. We learned how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learned this as the normal way to communicate. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. There is an old expression that says, misery likes company, and people who are suffering in hell don't want to be all alone. Fear and suffering are an important part of the dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Using the analogy of the human mind as a computer, gossip can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language all the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. This code is inserted into the program of your computer when you least expect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the codes get so mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results. Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher, and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you run into someone who took the class before who tells you, oh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. He didn't know what he was talking about, and he was a pervert too, so watch out.
Mm,
You are immediately imprinted with the word and the emotional code the person had when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. The person could be angry for failing the class or simply making an assumption based on fears and prejudices. But because you've learned to ingest information like a child, some part of you believes the gossip and you go on to the class. As the teacher speaks, you feel the poison come inside you and you don't realize you see the teacher through the eyes of the person who gave you that gossip. When then you start talking to other people in class about this, and they start to see the teacher in the same way, as a jerk and a pervert. You really hate the class, and soon you decide to drop out. You blame the teacher, but it is gossip that is to blame. All of this mess can be caused by one little computer virus. One little piece of misinformation can break down communication between people, causing every person it touches to become infected and contagious to others. Imagine that every single time others gossip to you, they insert a computer virus into your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine that in an effort to clean up your own confusion and get some relief from the poison, you gossip and spread these viruses to someone else. Now imagine this pattern going on in a never ending chain between all the humans on earth. The result is a world full of humans who can only read information through circuits that are clogged with poisonous, contagious virus. Once again, this poisonous virus is what the Toltecs called the mitote, the chaos of 1,000 different voices, all trying to talk at once in the mind. Even worse are the black magicians or computer hackers who intentionally spread the virus. Think back to a time when you or someone you know was angry with someone else and desired revenge. In order to seek revenge, you said something to or about that person with the intention of spreading poison and making that person feel bad about him or herself. As children, we do this quite thoughtlessly. But as we grow older, we become much more calculated in our efforts to bring other people down. Then we lie to ourselves and say that person received a just punishment for their wrongdoing. When we see the world through a computer virus, it is easy to justify the cruelest behavior. What we don't see is that misuse of our word is putting us deeper into hell. This is a pause point. You want to say anything? This is a
I just want to say, first of all, that I'm following along with the books, as well as while Jilly is reading it. That's why I'm looking down. I want to say that Jilly hasn't missed a word. Pronunciation for the words I do see has been top tier. We do thank you, Jilly.
You're
We
welcome.
do thank you. Again, welcome to A Novel Idea with Wettington. If you are just joining us, I am your host, Wettington. So this is just a virtual book club. Right now, we are reading the second chapter in the Four Agreements written by Don Miguel Ruiz. We do have a few people that are part of our book club that cannot read, like Travel Bay. And if you are one of those people, we don't want you to feel left out. So we have awesome people like Jilly come here and read the chapter to you so that we can get the discussion ball rolling. All right. So I'm gonna toss it back up to Jilly so that we can finish this chapter. It's actually almost done, and we can jump into our discussion.
Okay. For years, we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our word with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we say things like, "Oh, I look fat. I look ugly. I'm getting old. I'm losing my hair. I'm stupid. I never understand anything. I will never be good enough, and I'm never going to be perfect." Do you see how we use the word against ourselves? We must begin to understand what the word is and what the word does. If you understand the first agreement, be impeccable with your word, you begin to see all the changes that can happen in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. Consider how many times you have gossiped about the person you love the most to gain the support of others for your point of view. How many times have you hooked other people's attention and spread poison about your loved one in order to make your opinion right? Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Your opinion comes from your beliefs, your own ego, and your own dream. We create all this poison and and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. If we adopt the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, any emotional poison will eventually be cleaned from our mind and from our communication in our personal relationships, including with our pet dog or cat. Impeccability of the word will also impeccability with impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for that idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. Instead, it is fertile for the words that come from love. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy and at peace. You can transcend the dream of hell just by making the agreement to be impeccable with your word. Right now, I am planting that seed in your mind. Whether or not the seed grows depends upon how fertile your mind is for the seeds of love. It is up to you to make this agreement with yourself. I am impeccable with my word. Nurture this seed, and as it grows in your mind, it will generate more seeds of love to replace the seeds of fear. This first agreement will change the kind of seeds your mind is fertile for. Be impeccable with your word. This is the first agreement that you should make if you want to be free, if you want to be happy, and if you want to transcend the level of existence that is hell. It is very powerful. Use the word in the correct way. Use the word to share your love. Use white magic, beginning with yourself. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. Use the word to break all those teeny tiny agreements that make you suffer. It is possible. It is possible because I did it, and I am no better than you. No, we are exactly the same. We have the same kind of brain, the same kind of bodies. We are humans. If I was able to break those agreements and create new agreements, then you can do the same. If I can be impeccable with my word, why not you? Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, to huge success and abundance. It can take away all fear and into joy and love. Just imagine what you can create with impeccability of the word. With the impeccability of the word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a different life. You can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to that hell. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word.
Thank you, Jilly. I do want to welcome you guys if you are just joining to a novel idea with Wettington. I am Wettington. This is It's Jilly Baby up here. She just read the second chapter for us in the book The Four Agreements, written by Don Miguel Ruiz. So we do appreciate you guys for joining us. I appreciate you, Jilly, for reading for us. I don't want to single anybody out, but was that easy for you guys to understand? I feel like it was very clear, and I was picking up what you were putting down. Okay, our non-reader in the comments seems like she was all good to go as well. She understood everything. Jilly,
Yes.
are you busy?
No.
Okay, wonderful. Can I have my two guests request the box, please? And I do want to say that I do see all of you guys as gifts. I really do appreciate them. I just can't kind of stop to thank you, but I do see them all. I'm very appreciative. So we are having Top Badge Cajun come up, my scissor sister, and Charisma. They're going to join us in a discussion on the chapter that we just read. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to just go ahead and tell everybody who you are, what you're about, where they can find you. We'll start with Cajun.
Hello, my name is Cajun. No last name. You can find me in my stream daily, um, Monday through Friday, definitely Saturday and Sunday, 7 days a week, whenever I feel like it. I definitely stream on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Crafted with Cajun. That is a guaranteed time that I am on live. Any other time is random. Just catch me when you can.
Okay. Thank you, Cajun. Charisma.
Hey, I'm Charisma with the K. Yeah, notice. I am right now currently an overnight streamer. So you can probably catch me live like around 11 p.m. to like 6 in the morning. Other times I might just leave my live on. You can leave a message. Mostly a celebratory stream. Whose birthday is it? What's going on in your life? I got a couple of things going on. A lot of the times it's, hey, I got news, and we're like, what's the news? Yeah, it's mostly like that, and I'm here for you guys. You'll catch me a lot in other people's boxes.
Thank you very much, Charisma. So I just want to jump right into my first question from the chapter that was just read. So, by way of what the author says, to be impeccable with your word is to be without sin, to speak without sin, and then he goes on to further just kind of describe what his idea of sin is, which is basically anything that goes against you yourself. So, speaking negatively to other people, about other people, things like that would be considered a sin against yourself. Therefore, you would not be being impeccable to your word because you're basically hurting yourself by being negative. Um, Now, that's the way that I feel that he describes his meaning behind being impeccable with his word. How do you guys like when after reading the chapter or have listen to it. What would you say that it means to be impeccable with your word? Do you agree? Do you think it's more to it? Do you think something completely different?
I'll start.
Yeah, sure.
So, as far as being impeccable when my word goes, going forth with truth, as opposed to lies. He talked about two sides of that sword. So going forth with truth and honesty and being aligned with oneself. Once you've made those agreements, just going forth with that. I mean, if you say one thing about yourself and you agree, you have this one belief, and then you go forth opposite of that, that would be a sin against yourself and not being impeccable.
Okay, I can agree with that. Cajun.
So I'm gonna compare it to people on this app. They say one thing and then they do another. And then they get upset when someone calls them out on what they said they were going to do and then they didn't do it, not realizing it is a sin. It is a lie. You are literally like embodying this negative energy that you're giving yourself. So I definitely agree with the author. Um, and I only compare it to that because that's what we all have in common. But I definitely agree with the with the author that if you if you're telling lies or you're, going back on your word, that you're committing a sin and it's going to come back on you. 100%, it's going to come back.
Kind of feel like I could agree with that as well.
I think from reading it, my biggest takeaway, I think, in a broad sense, is, it was very clear that your word has power, and it to me, it's just being more intentional about what you say and how you communicate, because even something as flippant or off the cuff is like, oh, or we I think we've talked about that before, where you say, oh, you got your little event coming, or little this, we kind of throw those little words, but we throw things like that into conversation or something. And that, you know what I mean, I think that in a way can create that type of energy that it speaks of, where I guess he refers to as black magic. But I think overall, it's to just be very intentional about your word, because you may either think you're coming from a good place or you mean well, but words have power, words create things. And when you just throw things out there very carelessly at times, you have no idea, like, the impact that can create, further down, even in a moment of, emotion, or in a moment of, where things in energy's high, or something big is happening. You have no idea that a reaction could just have, this collateral damage of kind of how it may have impacted somebody else, and so on and so forth.
I can agree with that because just to piggyback off of that, I feel like actually gives us a segue into my next question. I personally feel that your words can be very powerful. That's why a lot of times in a lot of situations I would just prefer not to say anything at all. Because I personally do realize the power in our words. Like for the examples, as far as the chapter with the mother who told the daughter that her voice was horrible, and then that seems to have impacted her tremendously throughout her entire life. Or where you come to your friend and you're just like spewing the negative energy to them, just talking down on them, things like that, and then it affects their self-esteem. So would you agree that words do have power? And if you do agree, can you think of any example in your personal life where words have had more power than you thought they have? And I'll start with, well, I'm sorry, more power than they should have, or something that happened that made you realize how powerful your words were. Cajun, you seem to be thinking.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna call on me. So I realized in my personal life when my words had power, when my friends told me that they come to me for my opinion because they know I will not lie to them. If I think you look fat in that dress, sis, I will tell you that you look fat in that dress. I know it's gonna hurt, and I have done this before, and I have to be conscious of it because my friends value my opinion. But I really do not lie to my friends, because the way I see it is, if I lie to you, now you're out in the world thinking you got this going on. Let's not take the being fat in a dress. Let's take something else. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh yeah, you're doing a great job when you're not. Like, if you're doing the bare minimum, if I know that you have the potential to do more, like you have the capability to go above and beyond or reach a certain level in your job or just in life or whatever, and you're holding yourself back, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you're doing a great job when I know that you have the capability of doing more. I'm not that friend. Now it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. But all of my friends have definitely told me that they value that in me because they know if they really need the honest truth that I'm gonna give it and be like, yeah, that's not, you shouldn't have gone that route.
Mhm.
You probably should have done it this way, but you know, we're here.
Okay. Jilly, do you, well, I feel that you do agree that words are powerful based on your last answer. Do you have an example of any time in your personal life where you realized how powerful they were?
I think in general, examples of being positive, right, and being able to tell some, double-edged sword, right? I think a lot of times, my friends have told me, that they don't necessarily come to me first because misery loves
I
company,
told her
right?
that.
And we want
I told her that.
that because they want to they want to maybe commiserate, and I will I want to love on you, but at the same time I'll be like, okay, but can we look at it this way, or what's the better way that we can approach this? Okay, are you sure that this, because I don't want you to sit in that feeling and want to, like, I always want to decipher, is this really what's happening, is this really how you're feeling, and then how can we positively come out of this. So I know that just from personal experience where my friends have told me that, like, you kept such a positive attitude, or you just had me look at something differently just by saying something that I made a different choice, and things. So I definitely agree. And that can be even applicable on this app. I think we've all had different experiences on this app where somebody randomly or may have come and told Charisma, or just be like, man, I was really having a bad day. And I came in here and Charisma was turning up, and she's, I don't know why she told me, but she just said, you're awesome and you're everything. And that changed
Yeah.
flipped my whole mood.
I could, yeah. I feel like that. I feel like there are, especially like on the app, there are some streams where you can come in and somebody just like flips your whole day upside I'm sorry, flips your day like right side up just by saying one positive thing to you. So I can't say that I've definitely seen that. Charisma, do you agree that your words have power? Can you think of any
Oh,
examples in your life?
for sure. And I to piggyback of what you or what you were saying, like when somebody's new to the app and they tell me that it's their first time in my stream, it's the first stream they're entering. Oh yeah, we're bringing that energy. I'm gonna like zombify you with the effects of my words. And I've had people come back to me and say, "Hey, you're the first person I met on the app, and I've been having a great time since." And the opposite. Some people have the opposite experience. I've gone to people and not like took them along the ride with me to the app and just like download it, and then they're like, oh, I downloaded the Charisma, I'm never doing this again. And I'm like, oh no, I should have went with you.
I should have went with you.
Sorry. So yeah,
Um,
it goes both ways.
I
Hey.
feel like me personally, um, I don't know that I realized with the example that I'm going to give that words were powerful. I feel like it still took me a little bit of time to actually grasp and understand that concept. But I had, my mother used to say some really messed up things to me when I was a kid. And those things did shape and mold certain opinions that I have about myself that I've carried through my adulthood. So I especially think when you're dealing with a malleable mind, a mind that is still growing, or someone that is not secure in who they are, what they think, your words are even more powerful to them because, like he said in the book, like your mind is fertile to certain things. So if you don't have a mind that is fertile to receiving positive things or hearing words of encouragement, then it does create like a breeding ground for you to really have like negative thoughts about certain things or situations or ideals just based upon things that people have said to you. So, me personally, I think that words are very powerful. I'm a little bit more lenient when it comes to children because I feel like adults should have a little bit more stability in their mind. But for sure, I think by way of children, I feel like your words are most powerful to them. Or in general, I guess really people that are like seeking something, like so to have like you have a friend and that friend like really cares about you, but you treat that friend bad, like you talk down to them, you don't realize how the things that you're saying to them affects them because you don't really think of it like that. So I guess I definitely feel like when the person, I don't want to say weak minded, but it's kind of like, for lack of a better word, like
Unfortunately,
what'd you say, Charisma?
What did he say? It was fertile. He was saying it was fertile for black magic or something along those lines.
Yeah, yeah, he was saying that when you change the way that you use your word, it will change basically the fertility in your mind. Like you won't have a fertile mind for black magic and negative words and things like that. So they'll just kind of like surpass you. That's what he was saying at the end of the chapter. Like everybody around you can be living in a hell and you're still living in a heaven on earth because your mind isn't a fertile ground for the things that they're going through, which
Right.
kind of like it's like a meme. It was like a guy, or it's like a dog on top of his house, and the house and everything is engulfed in flames, and he's just sitting up there like, "This is fine, everything's fine." So I don't. This is great. It's not
I
a
think
problem
it
at all.
also, I think it also means too, like, what you, here's a perfect example, your Instagram feed. You can totally change and shift your knowledge of things, your awareness of things by totally weeding out and cleaning your Instagram feed. If the things that are coming up are positive things that are coming, all that other stuff that you may go down the rabbit hole with or think about or like gossip or do things, you really become super unaware of what's happening. If you don't watch
Yeah.
the news,
Mhm.
that's filtering into your brain, or you
Yeah.
watch certain things and you kind of get that. I think that's along the same lines of that phrase of people can be a hell around you, and you live this, and it's I guess it can also correlate to same concept as protecting your peace, right? I'm going to feed my mind, I'm going to feed my brain with the things that I want to see, the things that are positive, and not when the news is really bad, right? When you have a
Yeah.
lot of stuff happening with COVID, you know, almost just got like so sick of just seeing the news. That's all
Yeah.
you see everywhere. And how could you get out of this depression or this fear if
Right.
everything that you were feeding yourself, right, that you were seeing everywhere was just fear, 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 fear,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
you know?
To just I did that that thought crossed my mind to unfollow a couple of people after I read the chapter. I was like, because when I join these group chats that we have that everybody creates for their events, my first thing is I follow everybody who's a streamer because
Mhm.
after I might want to follow up with you, whatever. But after reading this, I was like, maybe there's a couple of people I might unfollow.
I
Um,
definitely am following.
Listen,
Or
we love
mute,
a good
or mute.
spring
You can
cleaning in the
mute.
winter.
and but I also want to say, like, we're focusing very much on words because he is words, he is talking about speech or whatever, but you were talking about like maybe I might silence myself a couple of things. Your thought is just as strong.
Yeah.
Your thought, you have a voice in your head that only you can hear, so it's just as strong and it's just as powerful. So I don't know, we just got to relinquish our energy other ways.
I think because and also I'm sorry for anybody that's joining us, that welcome to a novel idea with Wettington. I am your host, Wettington. We are discussing the second chapter in the book, The Four Agreements, written by Don Miguel Ruiz. And that agreement, the first agreement is actually to be impeccable with your word. Now, I do agree with you, Charisma. Sometimes just having the thought is just as bad as saying it. However, I disagree in this concept because again, he says to be impeccable with your word is to be without sin against yourself. So if I have something negative to say about you or a situation, I'm being impeccable with my word by not spewing my negative feelings toward you because it's going to make you look at me differently. So I'm sinning against myself because now I used my words to make you hate me. I used my words to make the people that heard what I said to you have negative feelings towards me. So
Mhm.
I completely agree with you that just sometimes having the thought is just as bad as saying it. But I just feel like in this space for this chapter, I feel like it's just a little bit different. But I definitely agree with you. Um, so after like reading this, do you guys have any ways that you like moving forward that you want to be more impeccable with your word, or how you would use the concept to help other people around you, or like are there any takeaways that you feel like you can implement in your life, like when you leave this stream?
Mom always said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
But I say that as well, but I know I'm stuck in my ways. Sometimes people need to hear about themselves, because if it's an ongoing thing, then it's kind of like, they're not, one, they probably didn't read the chapter, they're not realizing how they're sitting on themselves, but they're not understanding how that energy is affecting them more so other people. Because if you don't have anything nice to say, really, yeah, don't say it at all. But then it's like sometimes you might have to, let somebody know, you know, you're creating more sin for yourself than anyone else, even though you might think that you're coming off as, this
Well,
truthful
the
person.
basis in the chapter though was about truth, right? It's
Yeah,
about
being honest.
being honest, right? So there's one to just spew off and tell somebody about themselves because you're in a moment and you're just like, oh, you're ugly and da da da, versus, hey, I need to bring this to you honestly, and you know what I mean?
Right.
I
And
think
from that
that's why
perspective.
he differentiated in that paragraph where he says that your opinion is your opinion.
Mhm.
It doesn't make it fact. It doesn't mean that other people have to agree with you. It doesn't even mean that you have to share it. So you feeling like somebody is ugly, how does that help the situation by you telling them that they're ugly? Cajun?
Face.
I'ma just let
Yeah.
Charisma answer the question. Go ahead.
uh
Sometimes people need to know.
Cajun, grow up.
Okay.
it definitely gave me it reignited a confidence in me as far as because I don't know, this liberation, this new understanding of sin has liberated me. It made
Mhm.
me think about what I believe in and just not going against myself. It made me think about some of the other things that other people have told me to believe and reevaluate those things. So it's this chapter has definitely been liberating. And then the second part with the words, um first coming on this app, I combated everybody with kindness. Then I felt like my kindness was taken for granted. So now I'm that kind of random battler, like you, I might curse you back out. But after reading this, I'm back to fighting with kindness again. So, I'm definitely in a better mood. I think that recently I was like, I want to do something better. Everything that I'm doing is surrounded by blah. So when you brought this to me, I was like, yes, better.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna need
love
you to
that for
rub
you,
off on
Charisma.
me.
I'm very happy that I like better. I like that. I think like when you read books like these, me personally, I am quite the contrarian. Like I just see things from multiple sides. Now, whichever side I decide to roll with, that's one thing. That does not mean that I didn't see it from a bunch of different ways before I decided to go off the deep end, to be clear. So I always think like, how do you implement these things in your life? Because it's always going to be so much easier said than done. Because me, I'm very outspoken, I'm very opinionated. So I've only recently gotten to a place where I just kind of don't say the things that I want to say because I feel because I'm kind of in a place where it's like, well, yeah, I kind of feel like this, but like, what is this helping by me saying it? Again, travel bay. I said I saw it from the other sides before I chose which one I was gonna go off the deep end with. Okay, I'm just saying. So I'm just saying, like, for the things that you guys know I say, just think about all the things that you have no idea that I want to say that I don't say. So I feel like as far as me, I would just want to move forward more so with not saying things that just don't need to be said. Like, I mean, I for my own benefit. And I don't want to say this because it doesn't sound good, but it's the truth. I really don't care. I don't care how you feel. Like, because I feel like I should be able to say what I want to say. I should be able to, if I need to say something that you need to hear, I should be able to say it to you. However, that's not true. I mean, that's not true. Like, just because, again, that's my opinion. That is my opinion. And I'm the only one that's entitled to my opinion. I don't have to give you my opinion. I don't have to spew that towards you because 9 times out of 10, people are going to do what they want to do anyway. And now you don't like me. Now I just gave you my opinion on you when you didn't ask for it. Now you don't like me. Now I hurt myself. Now I'm not getting a dragon from you because never mind. Never mind.
You have to allow people to
Never mind.
crash and you have to allow people to crash and burn by themselves without you pushing them to crash and burn.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
And I,
and it I, is again without making me look bad. It's like I don't why do I need to tell you about yourself and sin against myself and now people looking at me like, "Oh, I don't like her, she's rude."
Uh,
I think the things like I always follow, I can't remember where I heard this, but it's like anytime something is like questionable, or should I say this, it's the three questions, right? Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me right now?
Yeah.
It can't be yet absolute yes, the whole for all three of them, then you don't need to say it.
Yeah.
You don't need to say it,
Also,
right? You
what
stop
I
and
think
ask yourself,
about,
You have to stop and ask yourself those three questions. You don't need to say it.
but even
But-
even
right.
after those questions, it's like, how is this going to affect me after?
Yeah.
That's I always turn it back. Like, I might think something that I need to say to somebody, but then now is this person going to want to have a conversation, a continued conversation? Do I have time for this in my life? Do I have that energy? Do I have the space in my heart for it? And if I don't, then I'm not even gonna.
And I think the biggest part he gave, and the example that he gave in the book when he was talking about the teacher example, right? Especially in an open
Yeah.
forum like this, right? That is
Yeah.
your opinion.
Yeah.
And when we talk about the collateral damage of that, I can personally attest that there have been people on this app or even people in life where I strayed away from because of someone else's opinion and not my
Yeah.
own experience. And then I actually have my own experience, and it's like, whoa, like
Completely different. Yeah.
completely, I've been staying away and thinking this because that someone else's opinion can affect your actions, how you move, how you do these things, and you may not even be thinking about it. You may not even be thinking about, someone could tell you, hey, that part of town is really bad, and you just naturally I just avoid it, and you may go somewhere and be like, it's really not that bad, like, oh, I actually enjoyed this, or actually, even something is food, oh, I didn't like it. And then you're like, oh, well, I never try it. And then a year later you try, you're like, this is actually really good. Why
Yeah.
didn't I do this? Like,
But it goes back to, again, it being your opinion, and your opinion is your opinion and not a fact. And just because this has been your experience with a person, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would be my experience. Like, maybe that's the energy that y'all had going on between you. Like, that doesn't, I would like to say like that doesn't have anything to do with me, but anybody knows that if my friend don't like you, we don't like you, and that's just that. Okay, that's just that. And I do understand, I agree with you. My age lets me know that I agree with you. My level of maturity, on the other hand, if my friend don't like you, we don't like you. But that's different. But I mean, I understand. I mean, outside of like people that are actually my friends, I really don't give people my opinion on other people. Like, I may be like, oh, I don't like them, but I mean, I'm not gonna go into, I don't,
out of your way.
right, I don't care about your interaction with the person. And I know that, like I said, if my friend tells me something about somebody, I'm riding with my friend, so I already know how that goes, right? I don't want to be the person to tell you, oh, don't mess with this person, and then I've blocked your blessing and you never even had any type of experience with this person at all. Do you think, because everybody here is how do I say this? Hmm. Y'all are all women, y'all are all my friends, but
We've all lived a lot
I
of
thought Troll was a guy.
what? In the box?
Oh, in the
She
box.
said I thought Troll was a guy. In the box, Karima.
Just keep going.
So he also he said, how often have you spewed gossip about the person that you love the most to get somebody else to agree with you? So to make it a little bit more palatable for us, like, I feel like when people are in relationships, like our friends that are in relationships, they always tell you the bad things that the other person does, but they never mention the things that they do. So when he gave that example, that's the first place that my mind went to, because in people's relationships, I try to keep my opinions to myself, because as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that that's usually how it is. They're not telling you what they did to get this reaction or things like that. Oh, go ahead, Katie.
Or just to piggyback off that, and I've been through this with my friends, we tend to say all the bad about someone and never the good. So
Yeah.
the good never outweighs. And now, and this happens with women all the time. We tell our female friends, oh, sis, he ain't do this, he's not doing this right. but not all the good things and all the reasons we're still there. The reasons we're still in that relationship. And now our friends like, why are you in this toxic relationship? Why are you with this narcissistic man when really we're the one who's narcissistic? Not realizing. So it's like we say all the bad, but we never say the good. But we form these opinions about people, not realizing that everyone has their flaws. Completely.
Yeah,
Everyone has their flaws. And
Yeah.
we're not accepting of it once our homegirl is like, girl, he did this. Your homegirl's still with him.
exactly. Yeah. And now they've spewed all the emotional poison.
Well,
Ma'am, because you told me every little thing he ever did to you. I don't have a reason to forgive him.
I
You
have
do.
no reason to forgive him.
No, definitely, definitely. And I
Chris,
think the concept of this, like when you talk about, I agree with this like
exactly.
process. I,
We
like,
don't like it.
process, but the process in your, in my mind, like cerebrally, like you're like, yes, this makes sense. But in practice, it's a very different, you know what I mean? I think it's a constant thing, right? It's a constant talk with yourself and to do this and not to beat yourself up because you can't be impeccable at being impeccable, right? But
Yeah, yeah,
the effort to be, mindful of those things
yeah.
and the catching of yourself to kind of do things and just be like, oh,
I
okay, I
yeah, I agree because that's what I was saying a little bit earlier, that it's kind of like a thing that's more easier said than done. And I know that like the first time that I read the book, like for the first couple of days, I was just like, I was doing too much, y'all. Like I was doing way too much. Like, and I had to check myself, like, girl, like it's just a concept, it's an idea. Like just be more aware of the things that you say or how you choose to say them, because it was like a point where it was like I was trying to think about everything that I said before I said it. Well, wait, are we supposed to think about everything maybe I don't know, but y'all know what I mean. Like I just was trying to be like impeccable with every word that came out of my mouth, like, and it's not that, like, that's impossible. That's impossible. Like all you can do is try. All you can do is be aware and try to be better. But nobody is walking around being impeccable with every word that comes out of their mouth.
Just a deep breath before you say anything. Like somebody asks you a question, hold please.
Right.
Like, what do you do with that?
Take
Impeccable.
about 5 business seconds to get yourself together before you respond, man.
yeah.
You might have better. The argument is that you would have better results if you did that every single time.
Yeah.
But it
But
Gonna be
also
some
could
long
you?
conversations, y'all.
in the chapter, he also says many times, well, we're human.
Yeah.
We're human, like we're human, but the more steps that you take every day to be a little bit better, be a little bit more mindful, that's the preparing your mind or breeding your mind to be fertile to the positive things, right? To the good stuff and not the bad stuff. So that, if it, maybe right now you're at 30-70, 30 good, 70 bad. And if you can get yourself, to 35-65, like whatever your improvement level is, it's still an improvement, right? And that'll be one less thing that comes your way, one less thing that may get you caught up, right?
I feel like something that, because we skipped over the first chapter, so in these 4 agreements, these are agreements that you made with yourself as a child, or these are agreements that you made based upon your parents or how you were brought up. So it's also about changing the agreement. So the agreement is to be impeccable with your word. So you're breaking the previous agreement that you had to just be out here saying anything that you want out of your mouth, not caring how it affects other people, not caring how it affects you, to moving into deciding that this is the agreement that I'm going to make. You can break that agreement. Like Jilly said, like the author said, we're human. So you break the agreement and you make the agreement with yourself again. It's kind of like you fall, you realize you fell, you get back up, you keep going type of thing. So I
New
think
deal.
it's
New deal.
shout out to DC. New deal. Right. I mean, I think that's what it's about, right? Like not always trying to be perfect with everything that you say, but when you do fall short of the agreement that you've made with yourself, being aware that you've fallen short and then taking the steps to be better in that agreement. that's kind of what I take away. What I took away from it as to how I could implement it into my own life is just to be more aware and try to adjust it when I see that I'm going astray. But that's just me. Do you guys have any final thoughts from the chapter? Any final
Um,
takeaways?
the point of all of this is to be good and be better in whatever way that is. Do not be an impeccable asshole just because it is your truth.
A
It is not
featured
a sin
show.
against yourself.
Featured show, man.
Do not sin against the whole point is to not sin against others, and by not sin against others you will also not sin against yourself. So do not take
Impeccable
this forth
butthole.
with this confidence and use it for bad. Use it for good. Use it for white magic.
Heavy on the white magic. Okay.
I don't have any really last final words. I definitely enjoyed the chapter. This was my first time listening to this book. I've heard of the book plenty of times. People have told me to read it, but I definitely did enjoy this chapter.
You know what? I'm glad you enjoyed it, Cajun. Thank you for stopping through while you were at work. I see you working. Really?
Um, I think we've touched on all the topics that the main points. I would say it's not meant to be like perfect. I think that when the chapter talks about making, or when the book itself talks about making agreements, right, it's also trying to give us like a visual reference, right, something tangible, like what that looks like to write an agreement, sign an agreement, that to honor that
Yeah.
that commitment or whatever you're making, and it's with yourself. And to remember that everything starts here, like everything that comes out starts right here. So be mindful, try your best, do your best to what I would call, like, speaking life into people, right, and wanting to do that all of the time as best as you can, but we're human, you're gonna make mistakes. It ties perfectly into what I say every time. Remember, every person or place or encounter you come across, please always try to make it better than it was before you got there. And if you can't do that, just don't make it any
Don't
worse.
make it any worse.
Make it any worse. If you can't make it better, you can certainly choose not to make it any worse or any more difficult on anybody. But I think this was great. I'm happy to come back for chapter 3 if you need me to read that one.
I'm not gonna lie, it was given very much podcast. It was given very much, I don't know, Jilly. Can you put like some stank on it? Because I don't want the people to fall asleep. It's very soothing.
I can put stank on it if you want me to put stank
I
on
would
it.
like you
Was
to
not
put
very
stank on
there's
it.
not very stank words though. You know what I'm
But I
saying?
feel like if anybody can make it stanky, it's you.
I mean, I tried to in the quotes.
Yes,
The
I heard
quotes
them.
when I was trying to.
It was given. It was given. Don't
I'm
worry.
a practice. I'm a practice. I'm gonna pick notes where I can put some stank on it. And do that
Put
next.
stank here.
Yes, put a stank here. Insert stank. Yes.
Got it.
So I want to thank you ladies for being a part of the show today. I do see we had a couple of people that came in. So if you don't know what's going on, we are wrapping up a novel idea with Wettington, which is basically just a virtual book club. We are currently reading The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Jilly was kind enough to provide the voice for the chapter. She read it to us, and then the four of us in the box just kind of discussed it. So if you would like to come back next Saturday at 1 p.m. EST, we will be doing the third chapter. If there's anybody here, if you want to get the book, it's on Audible. You can order the book from Amazon. They do offer next day shipping, or I do actually have some virtual copies that I can provide to you. If you just want to slide in my IG DM and let me know that you need that, I will send it to you. Otherwise, don't worry. We will have someone read the chapter next week before we discuss it. So I do want to thank you guys for joining me. And again, I want to thank these ladies for being a part of my test run. I appreciate you. Emoji J, you can stop recording. For the three ladies in the